to go. So thank you so much to everybody for for uh, for being here. Obviously, the overall theme of us kind of joining is because of the Graffiti Queens exhibition, the cryptoyuna organized, and I guess it was a good opportunity to also get together and have these conversations, such as the ones that were had yesterday, which were amazing. And it's also a great opportunity to get us all involved into chatting a little bit more. I mean, I'm very happy to be hosting this panel about NFT and ethics. And for, I guess, the people who don't know me as well, it's Micol here from VerticalCryptoArt. So kind of the face that you see, and if you see the videos, but that's me. And yeah, I've kind of been documenting like the space and opening obviously the profile, which has become kind of a media, let's say, since July of 2020. So been really really interesting to see what's happening in the space for the last 10 months, almost a year. And yeah, like obviously like this the theme of this of tonight or this morning, wherever you are, is NFTs and ethics. So we'll be covering kind of five main topics, actually. Four if Angie isn't here, and I don't think she is. So it's going to be, so it's going to be four topics. So the first one is, green NFTs, or kind of like clean NFTs, and what are the alternatives, and also what are the current kind of solutions that are out there for this. The second is how to give more space to minorities, or more like underrepresented categories. Then we'll talk about the platform transparency, so royalties, contracts, etc. And the last will be how to deal with NFTs becoming more mainstream and kind of being under the spotlight. So, I guess we can also talk about the pressure, or that kind of side of things. Just if I can ask everyone who is not speaking to mute. And then, yeah, if you want to join in, just unmute. Amazing, thank you. Cool. So I think like let's dive into the first topic about green NFTs. And I guess I'd love to get on the stage, or have Moon talk and maybe introduce yourself first of all, but also introduce this first topic, as I know you wanted to give your perspective around clean NFTs. So yeah, hello Moon, how are you doing?
Hi, hi, I'm Moon, also known as Mumu the Span. I'm a poet, visual artist, songwriter, mother, wife, feminist from Malaysia. So my perspective is mostly going to be quite personal, and also it's going to also be linked towards my perspective on minority representation, because yeah, I am from Malaysia. So I just got started on NFTs and this whole crypto thing in February. So I'm fairly new. I'm very new, very green. And I switched to clean NFTs in March. So yeah. When I first started on the NFT things, I didn't know anything about, well, anything really. So when I read Joanne's and Memo's article about the environmental impact, after I already made my first couple of sales on Ethereum platform, I was obviously quite horrified, and I decided to pause my activities and research what options are there, or whether I should just quit this whole thing together. And then in that time, I was also invited to join the Clean NFT Discord, where I also met the bad Lament here. So yeah.
Okay,
So I think
that's
she
great.
can join in right now because she's one of the main people in the CleanNFT Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe like to give a little bit of context as well. But obviously, there's like been a lot of discussion, especially lately, as NFTs kind of went into the mass media around energy consumption for on the Ethereum blockchain, and what that means for NFTs, and when you're minting pieces, but also from a collector point of view, buying as well. So yeah, just to give a little bit of context, like obviously there's some alternative options. So for example, Tezos, which I know you both are advocates about, and maybe I'll let the Lament speak about it too. But yeah, just giving that context. So yeah, Lament, you're up.
Hi. So my name is Michelle Brown. I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. Yeah, so I guess I've been releasing NFTs since January of last year, and I was on Super Rare, Maker's Place, Known Origin. And yeah, I had been releasing work for about a year, and in December, Memo's article came out talking about I guess the high energy use of Ethereum and some of like Bitcoin and some of the other cryptocurrencies. And so as someone whose work focuses a lot on climate action, climate change, natural world, I was pretty, I guess, shocked and kind of kicking myself for not researching more when I first got into it. So I kind of paused on what I was doing to look into it more, and so then that sort of turned into January, and Joni Lemerce's article came out as well. And I guess the main thing is that the mining of cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin use a lot of energy because of the proof of work system. I don't want to go into too much technical details because I'm not of a technical mind, but I have been able to, over the last few months, get enough research and knowledge to be able to, I guess, give that back to community as well. So which is why we started the CleanNFTs Discord in February. We first had it called NFTs and thought that didn't sound quite right because really you can't really have an eco NFT, but you can do things as cleanly as possible, just like you can change your energy provider to someone who's a lot more ethical, things like that. So partly why we created this Discord, and then there was a few of us, so Joni, myself, Pearl, who's also here today, Sutu, and Jose Neverenda, who also is the author of a really great spreadsheet which breaks down what platforms are proof of stake and proof of work. And I guess with proof of stake, it's a lot more energy efficient. The mining process isn't as extreme. So that's what I guess we've sort of discovered, and put all this information out there for artists to learn themselves. And yeah, I'll pop some links in a second. But I guess I just wanted to mention that when we were starting this, there was also a few very large artists that started to backlash against NFTs in general. They used the environmental aspect to really jump on and I think assassinate basically a whole lot of artists who were doing great work in the NFT scene. So it has been a real difficult few months, I think. And, I would like to hear from others on their perspective of this, of how we can combat that negativity on the NFT scene in general, because it's not all bad. It's just like any other art community. There's good and there's bad. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in talking more about today as well. So thank you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good point that you made about not all NFTs kind of being bad, especially, compared to other, general like consumption of energy that we tend to do in our daily lives, let's say. Do you want to share a little bit more about, what platforms maybe you're minting on or you've been exploring? And yeah, if there's anybody else that also wants to chime in, if they've had, maybe like experiences or just even have like questions that they'd like to ask about this topic.
Yeah, terrific. I think Karen just posted the link to the spreadsheet there, and just some of the, I guess, coins that we've been looking at and researching. Tezos obviously is a popular one at the moment because a couple of the new platforms, HEN, as I like to abbreviate it to, but Hicken Nunk, however you want to pronounce that. Hiccups is
I like to
also
call
a
it
nickname we've called it. Yeah.
I like to call it hiccup. I like to call it hiccup. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's a fun way to try and pronounce it easily too. But we've been, I guess, a lot of experimental artists have been testing that one out, and that's been really fun. They have like 3D models and interactive NFTs that you can pop up. Lament is on Tezos as well. There's Flow, which is one called Vive on Flow. I myself have only tried Hiccup for now, and I waited a while. I wanted to see how others went with it. I guess I'm a bit of a, I want to make sure things are going pretty well before I dive in, because I dove in early last year, and now I kind of regret not doing my research a bit more. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has used any. I know that NFT showroom on Hive is a really great one. So Julia Ponsford, who's one of our worker people, I believe, they have a great platform too. Wax, and then Cardano.
And I know that. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I
No,
know.
I know
say
that.
Cardano. You go.
No, I was also wondering, if there's been any experience kind of like of anybody here around like backlash with NFTs around energy consumption. So me, like from my personal experience, like um, I've had a bit of a backlash on a couple of videos that have been posted really early. I think it was February time. And to be honest, I still do get a lot of like negative comments around like NFTs and yeah, like if anybody had that experience and maybe like talk about how they you've managed that, or if you haven't, then what are solutions as well in terms of like educating the wider kind of audience about um, the reality of NFTs and the energy consumption, etc. Yeah, Moon, please.
So even though I'm fairly new, I don't know how, but there was a list going around on Twitter of people to block because they're involved with NFTs. Yeah, that list. So I was on the list. I'm on the list. On a couple of them actually. So I felt initially that okay, it wouldn't bother me. These people are strangers, but it did wear me down because because I have two Twitter accounts that I use a lot. Mumu is where I do most of my NFT things. Moon is basically my main and where I started as an artist and everything. So seeing that list spread around and seeing my circle of peers on Moon's Twitter be very vocal and anti NFT, but with misinformation. right? Which is very upsetting for me because I want to educate, but also I feel like I'm scared. I'm like a very small person, very small part of this where I don't feel like I have enough confidence to try to educate people who are willfully ignorant, like because the misconception is like every single NFT is bad, all crypto is bad, everything is just like evil, when it's not the case. But when you try to educate, you're just shot down. So I did have that experience as well, where I was just trying to be like, I didn't even say anything except for, oh yeah, there's been some misinformation going around, and I was immediately shot down, and I don't know, I just broke into tears. So yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I've had a similar experience as well, and it's obviously not. I also know about the list, and not ideal. I think a lot of people know about this, blacklist. Let's say, has anybody else had like any kind of similar experiences, or maybe like no experiences at all around this, and would like also to share any thoughts?
Yeah, can I say something? I
Sure.
didn't have this experience directly, but I was reading this article that came out a little bit after these scary ones, and is Stirling Crispin, I think. I don't know if you see it. Maybe I can then share the link. But was quite interesting because somehow, I mean, he sorry, because I'm not the English native, so let me find the word. It points to these things that maybe many of us know, that there is this media, I mean, a little bit manipulation about data, and because it's easy to create an article that want to point to something, but somehow there are many opinions, and there is these things that happen that someone is blamed for something. I mean, it's like, okay, now artists are blamed because their consumption, or they are not ecological, or they are doing something wrong to the planet. But we have to keep in mind and to look around, and we are so little space in all the planet. I mean, it's impossible to see this data with so big consumption for one NFT, but compared to all the planet, all the industries, and all what we are doing, to me it seems so strange. I mean, this data were a little bit used. I don't know. I feel like this. So we have to pay attention not to take the blame of big industries. I mean, because I see a lot of reality working in green ecological solution. They are over there. We are immersed in this space where people are building something good, not only well. I
Yeah,
don't know if it's,
absolutely.
I don't know
Absolutely.
if it's clear. I just want to say that the proportion sometimes with these articles is not clear. I don't feel the proportion is right. I mean, and this is not become from is just observation of our world, that everybody can do. So just because I know that the trigger a lot, they use our emotion, and things goes very quick. Numbers are big, so maybe just calm down and see what is really happening. But I'm so happy to see how we can really face this, because there is this opportunity to build something new, and many thanks to who is working and to this.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's a couple of nice comments. CrypticFauna, do you want to step in and yeah?
Hey, everybody! Thanks for the invite. First of all, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, great. Cheers from Costa Rica. I think Barbara made a great point. It's all about proportion. And I think if somebody tries to or starts bullying about NFTs, and which indeed happens to every new technology that comes up on the market, the important thing is to put things in proportion, because we could immediately ask oneself, do you know what the carbon footprint of producing your cell phone was or is? And I think the larger question on the amount of energy that is being used when we create or transfer an NFT is looking at the origin of the energy, because a number of energy that is being required is not immediately, it doesn't immediately mean that it's carbon emission. So there's many different things to look at. For example, what is of course of our electricity provider, our countries, what's the proportion of renewable energy that is being used? And I think what Barbara put on the topic very well is, do we want to do something better with what we're doing? Do we want to create a better world? And I think that is where it comes, where it most imports, because, well, it's not only about the NFT, it's about, first of all, a responsible human being on this earth, right? Are we trying to reduce our environmental impact in many of the actions that we have every day? And then what are the possibilities that we can do with NFT? And there's a bunch of us that are actively creating a positive social impact in the wider community, because there's still too few of us. And I'm linking towards Oculardelusion, to Karen, that if we can make this wave of biodiversity or energy or environmental conscious more important in the NFT space, then more and more people are going to be aware of it. And for instance, I personally, I lead a non-governmental organization, a very small organization that is concerned with with the conservation of marine species and habitats, and I donate a 10% or more of each of the pieces that I sell. So in that case, or what the punchline of this is that I'm trying to give back, not only of the energy that I'm producing, but also on my everyday lifestyle. Because if we don't give back to Earth, and in most cases the NGOs that are working in the field saving a sea turtle nest before the poacher comes, is really what is going to matter, and what really will sustain our world from 10 years on. So I think maybe we can align with one of these ideas that Karen has, and that there's Michelle also was talking about. But what can we actually do with our NFTs? How can we start changing the society and well, the consciousness, right? The awareness of this ever evolving community world that we live in.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And I think, there's a big piece as well of kind of going against something because it's new and because it's attracting a lot of attention, primarily coming from monetary value and primarily coming from sales, that, you know, you're trying to find a way, you're trying to find, you know, the negative side of it, right? And you're trying to attack the artist, even though, as you rightly said, there's so many things that each and every one of us can do in their daily life to really tackle this issue before we go against NFTs, right? So yeah, I think Michelle, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, you know, the offsetting. It's not the, you know, ultimate answer, but it is an option for us as artists if we're, you know, feeling, I guess, a little uncomfortable with the current state of you know, Ethereum transactions, like myself. So I've been, anything that I've still minted on an Ethereum based network, I'm doing offsets. But, you know, I would really like to see more of the platforms doing more to actually achieve change rather than just us artists, because it's always the artists, or it's always the little people that have to do the work to get the big guys to change. So it's, you know, it's pretty frustrating, but I just wanted to mention that Offsetra have been working with us really closely in our Discord and just in general to help artists understand that, you know, if they do want to continue you know, using marketplaces with Ethereum, then, you know, there's options there for them. And I kind of wanted to just throw to Karen too, because I know, you know, she's been doing some cool work with minting and donating. So,
Thank you. When I found out when I started looking into what the carbon footprint, I was also, like you, Michelle, totally aghast, and especially because for the rest of my work, I, you know, in my art and in my writing and all the ways that they overlap, I have mostly been working in environmental issues, climate change awareness, and education and sustainable development. So it's been on my mind for a really long time, and I had already stopped minting last autumn because gas was so high, right? So the cost to me was very high, and that slowed me down. And then when I found out what the environmental cost was, that slowed me down even more, right? So that's the cost to the planet. But in the meantime, I'd also been learning more and more about the technology and what it's capable of, and I had been already focused on wanting to find ways to use it for social justice support and for conservation support. And so what CrypticFauna was talking about probably was that I had talked to the guys who do wild cards, who were using, they were actually just using non-crypto artists to create trading cards to have to mint and then have people buy into it as a sort of I can't explain the technology behind it, but it's sort of a way of supporting conservation organizations using crypto. And it sort of provides a small feed of financial support to them. And this is something that's just starting out and it's just an experiment, but I thought that was a great idea. And I'm sure there's many more things out there like that and that are possible. It's just that maybe in the crypto art community, we're so focused on, you know, making art and the marketing and the community forming that we sort of lose sight of the fact that there's lots and lots of things that we can do with this technology. And so I think that the shaming of artists that happened, you know, I think that really came from a place of envy and not really a place of environmental concern. So I can feel that. Yeah. But having said that, of course, now that we know, I know that I can't think of any artists who don't care about the environment and wake up in the morning thinking, I'm going to make some art and destroy the environment. You know, we're all here because, you know, we want to make a better world. And it is the role of artists historically to point out problems in society and point towards positive ways and create thought-provoking works that help people realize what's actually going on. And so this is actually an incredible opportunity for all of us to, you know, to be at the forefront of creating an economy that is sustainable, right? We don't want to bring the unsustainability of the economy that we're trying to so hard to leave behind and bring it with us here.
And so, you know, ignore the shamers, but take the opportunity. And for me, that has meant, you know, not abandoning the Ethereum platforms I'm already on, but waiting to see about what was happening with Tezos and minting some on Hicket Nunk, and which I really, really love for other reasons as well, besides being green. Apparently, each mint there is about the carbon footprint of a tweet, which God knows we use a lot, and God knows the trolls also use a lot, and mint more mindfully, you know. So in the beginning, when I first started this in early 2020, I was thinking, oh, this is a great experimental space for me to just, you know, throw stuff out there and see what happens. But now I'm not doing that, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I mint fewer things, and maybe this can go on a Tezos platform. And if I have to use an Ethereum platform, there has to be a good reason, just like we would think about how many flights am I going to take this year? Am I going to own a car? How many children am I going to have? Am I going to eat meat? You know, all those things we always make decisions about to try to align with our values. And I have faith that as artists that we will also bring that to the crypto art space. So yes, that's what I have to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think those are all really, really good points. I think just to be conscious of time, and I know that we have a lot of topics to discuss, and I think this is, you know, in general, these are really important conversations to have. But I think, you know, from some of the comments I'm reading as well, like as a responsibility for, you know, the environment and the ecosystem as artists as well, to push that for platforms. And, you know, mint more mindfully. These are all kind of really good points that have been raised. So definitely, you know, kind of good takeaways about this. I want to kind of move on to the next topic, if that's okay, which talks a little bit about you know, minorities in the space and how to give more voice to these minorities. And I know, Moon, you know, you feel quite strongly about this, so I'd love for you to introduce this and, you know, give your take on this as well. And please, if anybody else wants to chime in, just feel free to do so.
So I think the conversation around clean NFTs or around the, you know, the activism around environmental impact is linked very strongly with minority representation, and the discussion should come hand in hand. So what we noticed with a lot of these trolls and these articles that were coming out, a lot of the narrative was very westernized, coming from very like privileged white, mostly male backgrounds, which is important to note because as minorities, our choices are not the same as those who live in Western countries or those who have like advantages or privilege, right? And another thing that I want to say about the clean NFT thing is because of the sensationalization of the topic, it became so polarizing, where there were extreme antis and then extreme pros. The extreme antis are just like everything is bad, and the extreme pros is just like there's nothing wrong with how NFTs are. There's like the godsend or whatever, where actually the truth is more in the middle. And those two perspectives prevent you from critically looking at the situation and looking for ways to improve on this very new scene in technology. So back to the minority representation part. So I'm an artist from Malaysia. I'm a Muslim hijabi queer artist from Malaysia, and our currency is not strong. So even getting started on Ethereum was very expensive. Just minting the first NFT was like a third of my salary, the first one. And I think having the clean option and education around how the ones that you hear about aren't just the only option that you have. So yeah, I think that's why the education part is important and the representation is important, because even for me, before I got into all this NFTs and crypto space, my misconception was that it's like all this crypto stuff is just like, you know, we hear a lot about like crypto bros or whatever, just very capitalist white dudes talking God knows what, I don't understand. And that was a big turnoff. So I think having people who are diverse from different backgrounds is very important, so that you can have these different voices represented and you won't just have one image of what this space could be. And besides that, when there was this article that this Korean artist by the name of Jisoo, she dropped this article, and she was the only article so far that I've read that addressed the importance of the BIPOC representation, because she mentioned about like she actually interviewed these artists from South Africa, in which their currency is like literally kind of like worthless and their government can't be trusted, and so this is how they can make a living. And then there's also, you know, people from Venezuela who are depending on crypto to survive. Otherwise, they're starve. So yeah, I think these two things are linked very strongly.
And I think you've raised some really important points, and I'd love for anybody else to chime in on this. I know specifically on kind of working on representing minorities. There's Amelia and Thais, who have opened a profile on Twitter which is called Diverse NFTs. I don't know if the audience knows about it, but they're trying to build a profile basically like giving voice or giving awareness to underrepresented categories. They both they both mint I think exclusively on Hicket Nunc. So yeah, thank you Michelle for sharing it. But yeah, they both mint on Hicket Nunc as well. So yeah, everybody who wants to go and have a look and also chat to them, like they're two amazing people too. But I'd love to have anybody else as well like speak about this topic. I think it's really important, specifically what you mentioned around kind of the area of crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum being very well, first of all, men driven, but also white male driven. Does anybody want to add anything on this topic?
I might just jump in quickly. I just wanted to say that yeah, I love Moon's perspective. Like I think it's really important that we need to consider all the different voices. And yeah, like, I'm a white woman myself, but even just seeing the backlash as it happened made me really sad, because over the last 12 months, I've actually seen so many marginalized artists make money from their art, particularly those not from, the United States, excuse me, or other, Western countries. So I really think that, you know, that needs to be considered, because a lot of the backlash did come from privileged white artists, and it was really hard to get them to see that this new creative economy can actually be beneficial for those who aren't from a privileged position. So yeah, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate Mumu being part of our moderation team too on the CleanNFTs, because I think this all does go hand in hand. So yeah, appreciate that.
I just want to add my experience with selling merch versus NFTs. So when I just started my journey into NFTs, I was thinking of minting one of my works as Moon, and using some of that profit to donate to my local charity for women's rights. But when I learned about the environmental impact, I just didn't feel that was the right move, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. So I did not go on with that. This was before I discovered CleanNFTs, and obviously, of course, as Moon, I was a bit scared to be more vocal about NFTs on my timeline. So instead, I decided to donate 100% of the proceeds of my merchandise as Moon, and this whole fundraising campaign went on for the whole month of March, which is the Women's History Month. So I got officially partnered with Women's Aid Organization, which is a local organization that helps and that has a shelter that assists with survivors of domestic violence in my country. And the support and the reach was amazing, and yeah, it was really nice. But the thing is, for this whole month, I made about 130 something ringgit profit from that sales in my currency, ringgit, which is about 6.4 pesos. And compared to how much I could make if I minted work as NFTs, I could make significantly more impact on the fundraiser with what I make as an NFT. I made 1,900 ringgit just in these past 2 days from selling gifts on Hiket Nunk. So my currency is weak, and selling merch is also very, very has a huge carbon footprint as well. So yeah, I think I just had to share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. And obviously, like, these are all really, really important topics, and I think probably like 1 hour or 2 hours wouldn't even be enough. Is there anybody else who would like to chime into this topic and talk about like minorities or their experience, and also maybe even I know a few people have shared the Mint Fund, which is a fund that helps artists mint pieces. Is there anybody else that'd like to join this? If not, we can jump onto the next topic. Okay. Yeah, okay, great. So I think, if just, conscious of time, and I know we have a lot of I know we have a lot of topics to kind of follow, but I'd love maybe to do even like a follow-up about all of this, because I think these are really, really important topics to tackle. But the third topic that we had in mind to discuss was actually platform transparency, which I think actually goes quite hand in hand with what has been discussed, and royalties for creators, and obviously, you know, contract types, etc. So I'd love to hear, you know, your thoughts around this, and how, you know, your experiences have been, especially for maybe artists who have been in the space, you know, longer, and might have experiences about this. Does anybody want to start the conversation? Just making sure you can all hear me. Sorry, because I'm not getting.
I think we've all just gone silent because we're waiting for each other.
I can say something.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you know, and if you feel like we want to keep going on the minority topic, I mean, for me, it's absolutely fine. We can definitely take more time in another moment to talk about also the other topics. So yeah, feel free to chime in with whatever.
Just very quickly about the royalties, because I think this is something that is also evolving. I mentioned before how the blockchain is evolving, and if we start with Bitcoin, you know, back to the topic of energy consumption, and it was created and had like great, you know, technological innovation, but now we're noticing that you know, it's having all this energy consumption impact. But we didn't stop with Bitcoin. The blockchain technology is evolving and creating all these alternatives to solve this problem. So I think that the question of, for example, how to have royalties in the space is also evolving. And at first, it was something that some platforms implemented, but it was far from being a standard. There was a lot of peer pressure from artists to demand these royalties. And at the time, it was kind of a small enough space that they were heard, and you know, it became a standard. And there are several initiatives also to go even further into the royalties, and really compare, you know, what does it mean over time for artists receiving these royalties? Is it really enough what we have now? But also how to make them so across several platforms they will be honored, or across several choices that artists can make of having their royalties choice for how much they want to also be able to be honored. And I see this evolving in a kind of good direction, at least in some platforms that I'm more connected to. For example, I'm seeing some platforms really diving deep into making a better implementation of these royalties, and make it really easy for interoperability, and having it, you know, any market that decides to build on this platform be able to honor easily, you know, and have the flexibility of a choice for the artist and, you know, the person that is minting. So I think we're have like a good possibilities in the future for that, but also the peer pressure, so to speak, like artists really having their voices speak loud and say this is what we want, and talking to the people who are creating the code and creating these things makes a huge difference. So I think we as artists really have to speak loud about such topics, and, you know, have an influence on how these technologies are evolving, because they're evolving really fast, and we do have an influence on that. We have to, you know, exert with our voices and speak up about what we want.
Definitely, and you know, I obviously, like, my, you know, I kind of come to you with questions about this, because I don't have a first-hand experience, because I'm not an artist. So I think, you know, it's extremely important for artists. And I'm seeing Karen comment, you know, so much responsibility. Karen, I'd love for you to chime in on this, but it's definitely it's definitely important for you to kind of really, you know, have a strong voice about royalties to the platforms, and specifically, you know, with like primary sales, but also secondary sales. And I guess, you know, a lot of it comes down to platforms, you know, building and learning as well. You know, everybody, the space is so new in so many ways, whether it's environmental impact, whether it's energy consumption, but also in the terms of, you know, royalties, that there's so much to learn, and so much responsibility that each and every one of us has in building the space, right?
I think that what happens a lot is that people who are building the tech, they are really just thinking, oh, I'm going to build this thing right now, and not thinking about the implications for the future. And how to make them really robust. And that's also part of evolving. So for example, from my personal experience, that I've been involved with data, for example, that was, I think, one of the first platforms that really implemented this royalty solution. And at the time, because it was the first, there was no any kind of standard, you know, on how to do it. And what happened in practice was that their NFTs could not be traded in the markets that came later. And the markets that came later, for example, OpenSea, that came after that, told them, okay, it will be too much trouble, you know, a lot of work to make this happen. So they never implemented this, make it possible in the market. And that's a problem that to this date is happening. Like recently, these old NFTs got you know, rediscovered and minted, and people discover now that they cannot sell them. But then I can see, for example, another project that I'm involved with, which is Mint-based, which is you know, migrating, kind of offering an alternative in Near, which is a proof of stake and clean, so to speak. I'm not such a big fan actually of clean NFT, but the concept behind, for sure. So, and they are really making a point of doing it right now, to have the royalties be like part of the standard on the NFT standards on this platform. So this is like so much, you know, so much evolved since then, that in a new chain and chains that are, you know, making it much better to have these options, you know, make it easy. So a market that will happen in this other chain cannot say, oh, it's too much effort to implement this, or hide behind this choice, you know, so to speak, because it will be easy, you know. So, and then artists will, of course, continue to do our peer pressure, but we will meet maybe less resistance if the technology was taught from the beginning, you know, as a way to support such things.
Definitely, I completely agree. And also, you know, there's a responsibility, I guess, and this is, you know, maybe it's my opinion as well, but also for new artists kind of that come into the space that maybe don't actually know about all of this, and don't really, you know, understand fully the technology, that there's obviously, you know, a big part to play when it comes to platforms educating artists about this, and maybe not enough is being done around this. So, you know, it's kind of a responsibility for the ecosystem itself, and for every and each of us who is in this ecosystem and has been for a while, whether it's a day or a month or, you know, a couple of years, to fight, in quote fight, for this, right? Anybody else wants to add on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I think it's really important to have some critical thinking around, you know, a lot of what you do. I guess I come from a media background, so that's just, you know, always sort of my way, is I try and learn as much as I can about things, and, you know, I got burned, I guess. So yeah, I really think that people need to have that critical thinking around all these topics. They have to consider the good and the bad and make their own decisions. And, you know, that's why I created the Discord, the CleanNFTs Discord in the first place, because I didn't want people attacking artists, but I also understood that people weren't getting what, I guess, crypto was about and what NFTs were about. So trying to bring all this knowledge together and having a place where people could research and make their own decisions was really important for me, because there just isn't that. It's either you're in it for the 100% jump in, or 100% no, I hate it. So let's find a balance. Let's stop being a bit so extreme in the views, and consider all parts. And this is why I love these conversations, because we can all sort of talk that through. So I really appreciate today's chats.
Definitely. Does anybody else want to add on this?
Maybe I just can say that it's really a matter of time. I've seen since I came in this crypto space, like early 2019. I needed really to take a lot of time to understand what is the space, what is offering, what I want, and how much I can count, how much my decision, my position, whatever, to find our space inside. It takes time. It's a community, and it's really almost impossible to take like a fast food. It's not fast food. I mean, it's not designed to work this way. So it's a building of relationship, and I mean, I can share a little bit this experience with Dada, and also now I start to love also the Mintable and near create-based community too, because I really understand each day more how important is our participation, our conversation, our sharing, and dreams also. I mean, to have some focus on something that have some ethics, feelings, emotion.
Did we just lose Barbara, or?
And it's really growing this too. We talked a little bit with one, with the other, and this is really growing something more, how to say, organic. Maybe it's not showing up strong as this media aggressive assaults, but I think this is something that I really a lot of faith, because with relation we start to care one to the other, each other. I don't know if I've said it right in English, but we care, no, much more, because we know each other. We do collaboration, we talk, and everything. And now we can really talk about ethic, not because is a list of things that we know, but because we experienced it. I mean, we have people banned for doing something. People that get into bad things, accused on Twitter and things like that. And these are all things that we passed. We taught. We supported each other, and now I feel like when we talk about ethics and things, is like talk to friends. I don't know if it makes sense, but this it makes me feel that it's more strong than just read an article. That's just to say.
Agreed, Barbara. That was terrific. But you should share that little article that you wrote, though, because that was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Oh no, it's not so good. It's just my flow. Well, I can share, but it's just a flow of thoughts, and I really need to develop better skills in English with this.
But I liked that.
But
It was organic. It was an organic flow, which I loved.
okay. So if you say like this, I can share. Thanks.
So Micol had to go. And so if we want to carry on the conversations, we need somebody else to moderate, or I guess we can just open it up for anybody else who has anything to say.
I think we did a pretty good job already. I'm cool to leave it here if everyone else didn't have anything more to add.
I mean, to Barbara's point, we just need to have more of these conversations more often, maybe, and it doesn't have to be as formal as this. But I know the Dada group gets together to talk all the time to work through the things that are of value to them, and I guess all of us in our various networks can stand to do that maybe more often.
Yeah,
Pajama parties on Discord.
Great.
That's good.
Well, we can have video too, can't we? So just let me know, then I'll wear my best PJs.
Okay.
Exactly. So thank you to everybody who came, and thank you for those of you who got up at the crack of dawn and stayed up all night. And you can all go back to bed now.
I've had too much coffee. No.
And look forward to having more conversations with all of you. I think this has been really amazing.